So, good afternoon, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. It is Friday, the 31st of December, 2021. It's New Year's Eve. So, Happy New Year, everybody. Hope you have a fantastic 2022. And of course, that you've had a fantastic Christmas period. If you celebrate Christmas or you've had a time to just down tools, put your feet up, relax, watch some TV, spend it with the family, have a great Christmas and really just find that downtime for you, because I think it's very important that we all try and do that from time to time. But hey, this is episode number 53. It's going to be my last episode of 2021. I'm going to take a slightly different approach. You'll see we've got some funny green stuff behind me, so courtesy of Elgato. So I'm going to give that one to the test. So without further ado, this is my year in review. Let's jump straight on in. So yeah, hey everybody, thanks so much for tuning in. Hope you're all doing well and you're all gearing up ready for to see the new year in style tonight. Let's hope we get a bit more of a free 2022, I think is probably the best way to put it. We all know we've had a terrible time with COVID over the last 2 years now, started in 2020 into 2021. Things didn't really get a great deal better. We are bearing up, I think it's probably fair to say, but we're certainly not really in the best place that we can be, in terms of the virus and how that's tracking across the country. So we've all got to do what we need to do to make sure that we keep ourselves safe and healthy and of course others around us. So, but apart from that, look, let's just enjoy the evening. It's going to be a great time now into 2022. Let's keep it optimistic and on the positive side of things. And this is what this video this week is all about. I'm going to break from the normal community call-outs and the Welsh news and things like that. I'm going to do my year in review. So I'm going to let you know what I've been up to, look at some statistics across what I've been doing for the last year, and just give you my thoughts and bits and pieces around that before we touch on a few of the areas that I'm looking to dip into for next year. Plus, it gives me a little bit of a chance to play with some green screen. So here we are, my year in review. Let's crack on then. So, look, 2021 has been one of those roller coaster years for me, both on a personal and professional point of view. It's been both the best year of my life from a career perspective, and obviously the community involvement I've been in. But it's also been the worst year of my life that I'll touch on a little bit later on in this episode. So for now, let's jump straight on in. I think the first place to really look into is year in stats. So I'm going to break down all the socials, what I've been up to, what I've been doing in terms of social media and things like that. And just to give you a little bit of an idea of where my stats are. I don't religiously follow these stats, but they always give you a little bit of a good indication as to where might you want to grow a little bit more, awareness, or maybe, awareness of yourself, what you're up to. Maybe you want to push some more information out into the community in a little bit of a different way. And I can honestly say 2021 has been a year of exploration and really just having fun and finding out all the different social platforms, how you can make them work for you. Yes, how you can try and push the numbers up. But equally, it's not all about that. For me, it's been about learning these platforms and trying to explore them in different ways. I've not broken ground in terms of I've not become hugely famous across the social platforms, but that wasn't my point in 2021. Like I say, it was purely around me just exploring all the different social platforms and really what they can do for you in terms of work and practicality and learnings and things like that. So start off with YouTube. Currently, I've been running religiously now with YouTube since the beginning of 2021. So I've amassed around about, I think it's probably around about 150 videos on YouTube now since January the 1st this year. So it's exactly a year since I've really properly started to use YouTube in anger, so to speak. I've amassed 760 subscribers as of today, the 31st of December. So if you're not subscribing, as always, click on the subscription and the little bell notification. It really is appreciated. I'm looking to grow my YouTube channel in different ways next year. There's a few good ideas I've got with some other community members coming out that I'm going to wait until we have a chat in early January to make those announcements. But hopefully there's some really cool, fun, interactive kind of sessions that we're looking to bring out across YouTube. So if you want to stay tuned and find out more, subscribe to my YouTube channel. What else is there to do? Equally, Twitter is a fantastic place if you are in the tech community, and certainly if you're in the cloud family community. So if you're learning cloud technologies now today, whether that be Azure, AWS, G-Cloud, join in, use the hashtag cloud family and join us. The Azure side of the fence across the US and the UK and Europe is phenomenal. I think it's fair to say, from my own perspective, I'm not to say that it's not fantastic anywhere else in the world, but I'm just purely saying it from my perspective and the people that I've interacted with over the last 12 months. I've amassed, I think at the beginning of the year I was probably sitting at around about 1,000 users, and I've amassed 1,000 followers rather. Over 3,000 followers now as of today, which is fantastic, and it's really great. And it's one of those things that I found, dependent on the circumstance and what you're actually doing at the time, whether you want followers or not want followers, I don't know. I don't know why people follow me specifically. Maybe it's just because they can see I'm maybe having a little bit of fun, exploring different areas and ways that you can do things, but equally trying to put out as much as I can from an Azure learnings perspective over the last year as well. So, I've seen my followers grow in certain areas, but equally I've seen it decline when I've posted certain things or said certain things. So it's very funny sort of platform, I guess, in terms of followers. So it's purely dependent on what you're trying to get out of it. But for me, it's the ability to follow other brilliant people that I can learn from, and I bookmark what people are actually doing and the community content that they're putting out. But like I say, 3,280 plus followers at the moment. From a Twitch perspective, earlier in the year, I decided I would give Twitch a go, see how it got on. It's all about live streaming, that element of, just getting on a camera, talking to your audience without gaming, I guess, because I don't game. I talk about tech stuff. So in terms of follower count, I'm up to 60 followers on Twitch. That's on my own Jonnychipz Twitch TV channel. But I've been doing a lot of content on the Azure Live channel, which I know has gone well over 200 followers now as well, which is fantastic to see. So if you are on Twitch, drop me a follow and a like, and equally for the Azure Live channel, do that as well. That would be fantastic. Github. Now, to be honest with you, as an operations person, I don't really tend to use GitHub an awful lot, only for learnings and testing and doing some deployments, primarily for repo and code control. It's ADO and places like that I store things, but I tend to do a lot of my learnings, and I might create a few public repos. But today I've got 39 followers, 36 repos. I don't think there's anything noteworthy as such in there. I just use GitHub purely to, like I say, do some learning and change things up a little bit, make sure I understand things. GitHub Actions, Code Spaces, all the new stuff that's coming with GitHub. I've tried to do some of that learning. So I might change that up a bit now into 2022 and look to become, use it in a bit more of a structured way, I guess is probably fair to say, and try and do some open source, kind of see if I can get some pull requests in there with some open source projects. That might be pretty cool as a little bit of an ambition for 2022, but we'll see. Currently, that's where I'm sat with GitHub. LinkedIn has blown through the roof for me, to be honest, over the last year, 18 months. It's amassed me up to over 6,000 followers on LinkedIn, and it's true to say that I can put some detail up about an In Conversation with, or a webinar, or Jonnychipz Weekly, or some Azure news and bits and pieces, and they do tend to get really good engagement on LinkedIn. So huge thanks to everybody across those social platforms that are really following me and tuning into what I'm up to, and hopefully we'll grow that into 2022 as well. So from my own personal blog, I must admit I've not done as many technical articles as I'd have liked to have done in 2021. I've probably done around about a dozen, but I'd like to have done more and do some more in-depth ones. So that's certainly going to be a target for me to achieve into 2022. But currently I'm sat at, for the year, around about 159 posts, but they include posts that I put out for my Jonnychipz Weekly and my In Conversation with series that we'll touch upon in a second. I've had over 60,000 views in the year, so that's, I'm certainly happy with that. It's one of those platforms that it's a standalone blog. Nobody really follows it or goes to jonnychipz.com by choice, but I guess it's following the links and kind of getting that uptake in that capacity. And I've amassed another 91 followers. Like, it's a WordPress site, so if you are using WordPress, you can follow through the app and you can comment and things like that on my blog posts as well. So it's been really good fun building that blog up. So I think I'm up around over 250 posts covering a full breadth of Azure tech at the moment. So yeah, go and check that out on jonnychipz.com. And finally, TikTok. TikTok is an area that, to be honest with you, I've been set up with TikTok for well over a year now and playing with it, but not really doing a great deal with it. It's only over the last couple of months I thought I'd start trying to reach out and delve into those areas of TikTok to understand how it might work, how do the algorithms work, how do you grow following, how do you grow kind of awareness around it. So I'm quite happy to say that certainly this has primarily come over the last couple of months. I'm up to over 330 followers as of today, which is great. And, hopefully I'm going to continue to develop that into 2022, just having fun and seeing what content I can put out there. So if you're not following me on TikTok, it's Jonnychipz on TikTok as well. So go and look me up and give me a follow. Okay, in other news, Welsh Azure user group. So yeah, for those of you that don't know, I'm one of the co-organisers of the Welsh Azure user group. And we really have had a fantastic 2021. It started off in the middle of 2020 where we had some fantastic speakers come along and do some fantastic talks for us, and it's grown exponentially, I guess it's probably fair to say. So I mean, if we just look at some of the statistics around the Welsh Azure user group, if you're not following us on Twitter, it's at Welsh Azure. We've got a LinkedIn group as well if you want to look for that. So go and follow us. And we're also on Meetup. So let's just take a look at some of these statistics then. So we've had 12 sessions. They're all up on YouTube. They're in the playlist below if you want to go and rewatch some of those sessions. Twitter followers. So we've amassed 670 plus followers over the last, I want to say 12 to 18 months. It's probably fair to say. But we're at 670 plus as of today, which is fantastic. LinkedIn, we've got 224 members on LinkedIn. So again, if you are on those platforms and you want to stay in touch with what we've got going on, please do go and look us up and join in. It's a complete open forum for anybody in the tech community or not. You don't have to be technically minded. If you work in tech, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to be a technical person. There are lots of other different roles in tech that don't require you to be a techie person, and we hope to kind of aspire to bring in those other types of people in tech as well, so that we can talk about personal development and marketing and other areas that we may not necessarily look into if we are fixated purely on the technical tracks that a lot of us are. So, but look, it's open to all. If you really want to join in, come and find us and join in. We'll embrace you with open arms, as they say. So, yeah. So in terms of what's going on with the Welsh user group, like I say, we run all our meetups on meetup.com, and we've currently got over 1,400 members, which is great. I mean, the Azure group was grown from a dormant data group, South Wales based, but it's fantastic to see that we've actually grown to nearly 1,500 members as well. So I believe when that started, it was just below 1,000. So it kind of correlates quite well with the LinkedIn and the Twitter followers. So it's gone really well. So look, if you want to follow us and join in, we have some fantastic quizzes and fantastic prizes as well. So please do come along and say hello. It's like I say, it's open for all. Okie doke, let's move on. So in other news, certification, and I'm just looking at my spelling now on these slides. I don't check my spelling, but in terms of certification, what I've been up to. So I've had a bit of a quiet year on certification. I think I've done 3 certs this year. But fundamentally, that's where I stand at the moment with the modern certification. So if we just break that down into what it is that I've currently got, and I'll talk a little bit how that's helped me. So I've got I've got 10 Azure, Microsoft Azure accreditation. I've got 5 Microsoft 365, 1 Power Platform, 1 SC, the new security exams. That's the fundamentals. I've attended 4 open hacks across the year, which have been fantastic. So I think it was the serverless, the DevOps, the containers, and the migrating workloads open hacks. Honoured to receive the Cloud Champ accolade back in February. of 2021, which was fantastic. And I've recently recertified my Microsoft Certified Trainer credential for a second year, which is fantastic. And I'm hoping I can do more with that accreditation as well into 2022 going forward. But for me, certifications, they're not something like I've amassed these now over the last few years. So I probably end up doing maybe 2 or 3 certifications every year, and we'll talk a little bit about what I'm thinking of doing in 2022. But over the years, they do accumulate, and it's great. It's the knowledge. For me personally, what I try and do is I try and work in the area for as long as I can to try and learn things from working with customers, using Microsoft Learn, doing a few demos, doing a little bit of reading, maybe on Microsoft Docs, watching a few community videos. And when I get to that kind of massive, what I feel is knowledge, where I feel I've got a relatively good understanding of that particular area, it's then I'll start looking at the examinations. And what I tend to find with the examinations is that if you look down the skills measured and the objective domains of the exams, it's then that because hopefully you've done enough over a period of time that you've kind of got that feel for, the different areas of what maybe that exam is going to cover off. But what it does for me is it makes those gaps of knowledge of myself that are glaringly obvious. So it gives me then the opportunity to kind of go back over and formally try and run through some learning material that will either consolidate what I think I already know, or maybe correct me in certain areas if I've not got it quite right. But it'll also help fill those gaps of knowledge that I completely miss for whatever reason. And once I get that level of learning, that's when I try and sit the exam, because that's when it kind of consolidates. Right, I've done as much as I can for myself, through my day-to-day working. I've tried to learn as much as I can for myself, and the certification is just that validation for me to say, right, okay, you've done what you need to do. I try and avoid, I've had to do it on 1 or 2 occasions to keep competencies up to date and things like that. If you work for a partner, you'll understand. But I try and avoid just rushing at a cert just because it's a cert. I mean, for the beta exams, I did AZ 700 recently because one of my strong points in Azure is networking. So I've done a fair amount with networking in Azure over the last few years, as well as a few other areas. So I thought, well, I'm relatively confident, and it's a beta exam, and it was 80% off. So I sat that one because it was relatively cheap and I wasn't going to lose anything. And I had a certain level of confidence. I wasn't 100% confident by any means, but generally speaking, I try and avoid a new exam coming out. I'd rush at it. Like, one of the exams for me has been AZ 140. I've done a fair amount with WVD, or AVD as it is now, Azure Virtual Desktop, but I've still not sat the exam. And I've not sat the exam purely because I've just not had that focus time to run through my process. So all I'm trying to say is, personally, I try and avoid running an exam just to get a nice full chart of exams, because, if you've run at it just to get the badge, you've probably not absorbed the knowledge, and you've probably not absorbed how to apply that knowledge then into a customer environment. So I try and avoid that. I'll only run at the exam when I know in my own gut that I've done enough, and I feel that I've got enough knowledge to confidently go and sit that exam and confidently be able to speak about the area. So anyway, that's where I'm at the moment. And like I say, we'll talk about what I'm looking to do into 2022 in a little while. But what else has happened over the last 12 months? Well, one of the big key highlights for me this year was obviously the awarding of the Microsoft the Valuable Professional, the MVP, which was fantastic. I was awarded this back in August of 2021. There's too many people to thank, but I will call out a few people. Mert Yetta for nominating me for a start. That was fantastic. Pete Gallagher, Greg Asuti, Richard Hooper, Dean Ellaby, Dan, Andy, Simon, Shabazz. Look, like I say, I hate naming people because there's always those few people that you forget to name on a video like this. But you know who you are. If we've interacted, you've done a lot for me over the last 12 months. You've helped me grow. You've helped me achieve this tremendous accolade, the MVP. I've had a huge amount of fun over the last year leading up to actually getting awarded this MVP. And I'm just hoping that will continue into 2022. And I can renew that come, I think it's July time they go out for renewals. But yeah, it's a true honour. I spoke with Gregor in one of my last videos on the In Conversation with series last week, and he asked me about it, and I truly am humbled. I'm proud to be able to call myself a Microsoft MVP, and long may it continue. My DMs, my Twitter feed is always open. If you've got any questions or want to have a chat or generally run through anything that you like, in terms of what you think I might have some clue on, then please do reach out to me. Happy to chat or collaborate. If you're up for a collaboration in the new year, reach out to me. Really looking forward to seeing what we can make of that. So yeah, that was a huge highlight, of course, for me. So I think what we'll do now, we'll break into some of the YouTube series just to give them a little bit of a shout out as to what I've been up to over the last 12 months. So the first one, you can see I'm just scrolling through it there, is my Jonnychipz Weekly episode. So at the start of the year, I had this idea of running a show. Jonnychipz Weekly was a little bit of a fractured show, various different different areas I kind of tried to cover off. In terms of one of the areas that kind of grew into the show was this concept of community call out. So many fantastic people doing brilliant things across the community. I thought it was right to kind of highlight those areas that I was looking at for my own personal development and for my own interests, and that's what kind of formed one of the elements of Jonnychipz Weekly. Equally, I talk about the Welsh Azure user group and what's going on in the coming episodes of that and sessions. Then we talk a little bit about the Azure news and updates. So it's my way of getting on top of all those Azure news bits that come out every week. Some weeks you can have 30, 40 updates from Microsoft and the Azure news. Other weeks, it may just be one or two. So I use the section of the show to, make me go and read a little bit more detail, even if that detail just kind of sits in the back of your head. When you have a conversation with a colleague or a friend or a customer, hopefully in kind of trying to keep up to date with those Azure news and updates, it's sat there in your head somewhere so that you can kind of reach for it as and when you need to. So that's Jonnychipz Weekly. That's still going. Look, this is episode number 53. I'm hopeful that I can keep going through 2022, but we'll see. I may decide to change this show up to become something different or free my time up, because to record these shows, it does take time, energy and effort. Even if it is primarily myself, I'm learning about things, even recording. You can see now I'm using this as an opportunity to do my first recording with a green screen, which, is great. But I'm hoping to factor these things into the future things that we've got coming up into the new year that watch this space. So so that's Jonnychipz Weekly. The other show that I started at the beginning of January was my In Conversation With. And in all fairness, In Conversation With has been a really fantastic show in terms of the guests that I've had on it. I've had over 50 guests now on the show from, well, you can see all the fantastic people there that I'm scrolling through in the background. And I just want to use this opportunity to thank each and every one of those people for coming onto the show. We talk technical topics. We talk personal development. We talk certifications. We talk community. There has been so many fantastic different conversation points. And, huge shout out to Dean Ellaby for being guinea pig episode number one. We actually did a live episode, like an update episode, where we were testing out some restream bits and pieces earlier on in the year. So go and look that one up. But honestly, if you flick through that playlist, you'll see some very well-known people across the community with some great information. And finally, I just want a big shout out to Greg Asuti there for finishing off the year with episode that you can see there at the top, my 1 year episode, which kind of recaps how this has come to be. Again, I'm rethinking. I might take a little bit of a break now over the next few weeks, just whilst I rethink what I want to do with the In Conversation With series. If you are up for being a guest, then let me know. I'll see, because it's like anything else. If you're spending time doing one thing, then it kind of detracts away from other areas that you might want to focus on. So, look, if it's something the community want, I know Greg has said it was something that he felt should continue and should carry on, and I'm happy to do that if there's guests are willing to come on to it. And I'm mindful that I'd like to start breaking into a bit more of the technical tracks and talking technically with guests on certain areas potentially. So we'll see. If you want to be on it, reach out to me. Just reach out. We'll set some time up. So even if I break it down to maybe a show a month or a show every 2 weeks, we'll see. We'll work that out now into January. Like I say, I'll probably give myself a little bit of time off. But for now, if you haven't seen any of the episodes, go and have a look. Like I say, there's over 50 episodes, all from 2021, in the playlist below. Go and pick your favourite community person and go and have a little watch. Hopefully you'll get some great information from there. Okay, so let's move on and let's see what we got. Okay, so I've talked to you about some fantastic things that have happened to me over the last year. Suffice to say, this year has also been the worst year of my life. I lost my mum back in May, which hit me for 6, and it still affects me. Obviously, we just had Christmas. Christmas absolutely hasn't been the same this year without my mum there. I do still find it difficult to talk about the loss of my mum. She was a huge part of my family. She was a centerpiece to my family. So we all miss her massively, of course, as you can probably imagine. But I've used, I guess, my mum's tenaciousness, what she instilled in me, what, the kind of ways of being, to always turn up, always get on with what you need to do. Don't shirk, don't sit around, just get on with what it is that you need to do. So I just wanted to use this moment in this video because I think a year in review for me as John Lunn wouldn't be the same without a mention at all of my mum. She was, before she passed, she was a huge advocate of, she could see what I was up to. She would laugh about it with me. She would be my biggest fan, as she is with my sister, and she had 5 grandkids. She's everybody's biggest fan. So, like I say, it's been a huge loss this year, and hopefully I can go into 2022, like I say, and build on all the traits that my mum has instilled in me. So, and like I say, thank you to everybody in the community that kind of offered support around the time and still does offer support from time to time. Like I say, it certainly has affected me in a negative way, as you can imagine. It's a sad period of time for me personally. And yeah, I'm going to get through it. I will get through it, as we all have to. Unfortunately, this is what goes on in life. But yeah, for now, thanks to everybody in the community that's helped support me through that. But I just wanted to mention this in my video. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so then, what have I got coming up in 2022? Well, to be honest, there's lots of irons in lots of different fires, lots bubbling around the surface, lots of excitement and fun. For those of you who've been following, I've got a bit of a relationship with Elgato. I've got some kit, obviously the microphones, key lights, and Corsair PC, keyboards, mice. They've been fantastic. So they're going to support some great initiatives going into 2022 with us to offer some prizes. So like I say, if you want to stay tuned and understand a bit more about what's going on, follow me on Twitter. Subscribe to the YouTube. Look, we'll be making announcements into the new year now with what's going on that front. But I can guarantee it's going to be fun, inclusive, and hopefully we're going to get some learning stuff out of it as well. So really looking forward to that. And a big shout out to Microsoft as well, because Microsoft have already stated that they're game to support some of that as well. So looking forward to that. So anyway, what else have I got going on? So kind of goes without saying, Azure is still going to be a huge part of my 2022 with what's going on in my own personal career, my work life, I should say. Is very, very heavily Azure focus and Microsoft focus, so it's not going anywhere. I'm going to be banging on the door of Azure and Microsoft for the next 12 months without a shadow of a doubt, and doing some more learnings, more certification. But there is this element of multi-cloud that I think personally I've been avoiding for probably long enough now, but certainly from the point of view of at least waving at AWS. Hello, AWS Cloud, there you are. I want to try and at least get some decent learnings in on AWS. And while I'm at it, yeah, there's Mr. Google Cloud. Hello, Google Cloud. I absolutely want to do some learnings with you as well. So, look, I think the point is I'm going to try and broaden my horizons a little bit and become a little bit more multi-cloud focused. From a point of view of not just learnings and be able to compare apples for apples in terms of different clouds and what each cloud is doing, what each cloud isn't doing in terms of capabilities and features, but, cost analysis, which features run best in which clouds, regional availability, data sovereignty, all of these things. I want to try and put that together, and maybe I'll be able to write some good blog posts as I do it and kind of start comparing the different clouds together. But that's my broad view of 2022, is becoming a little bit more agnostic in terms of the multi-cloud and putting some effort into learning some of those clouds, even if it is at the foundational level. So on that note, it's probably fair to say from a certification point of view, then what I'm probably looking at is, from an AWS perspective, is maybe looking at the Cloud Practitioner, which is their foundational certification. I mean, I'm hopeful. I've probably got a lot of knowledge already to be able to sit that exam. But like I say, my approach to exams is to really understand those objective domains, what you're being assessed. So I'm really going to sit through that and have a look at sitting that Cloud Practitioner sooner rather than later. Equally, from a G-Cloud perspective, looking at that cloud engineer, that foundational certification that will help me then jump into some more of the specialized or specific exams, or maybe the architect level exams across AWS and G-Cloud. Also, things like Terraform. I forgot to do my Terraform, the HashiCorp Terraform, and even Vault and other HashiCorp products. I'd like to do a few more of those because they offer those cloud agnostic toolings, which I use on a relatively day-to-day basis with my own job. So I'm going to be starting to look a bit more into those as well into 2022. But like I say, Azure is still going to be there. So more Microsoft certifications coming up. And to start off with, one of the key ones that I'm going to look at is the configuring and operating a hybrid cloud with the Microsoft Azure Stack Hub, the AZ600. That is one that is very high on my agenda to start looking at as well. I didn't get AI 102 ticked off this year, but I'll bucket that into something at the end now. So as well as AZ600, there's also the AZ800 and 801. With the administering Windows Server hybrid core infrastructure and the advanced services of Windows Server. You'll see that all three of those exams kind of play into that hybrid multi-cloud approach as well. So I'm hopeful that I'm going to have a multi-cloud 2022, I think it's probably fair to say, where I'm looking at the moment. So they're the three kind of core areas I'm going to be looking at, I think, early on in 2022. But it doesn't withstand, there are a few of the other exams that I've had kind of hanging around that I've always fancied ticking off. Things like the AZ140 for AVD and a couple of the security exams like the 200 and the 300 exams. I'm going to look at doing those, as well as the AI 102, to try and... these are areas that I've been kind of dabbling with a little bit more over this last year, and I've never really, like I say, AVD, I've done enough project work to in theory know enough about AVD to be able to pass that exam, but I've just not ever formalized it, and that's the idea. So that's really what I've got in terms of certification coming up into 2022. So that's probably quite a lot. Like I say, normally I'll sit 3, maybe 4 exams a year. So just looking at that board there, I've got 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 exams potentially lined up already. So we'll see how it pans out. This isn't going to be an exhaustive list, and I'm not saying for definite that I'll get all of this done. That's my ambition. So hopefully you can see where I'm trying to go in terms of that multi-cloud approach and get really a little bit more in the hybrid world as well. So that's what I'm hoping to achieve in 2022. But more importantly, what else is coming in 2022? Well, I hope just more of the same in terms of fun, really. I'm not sure why that animation didn't work. It should have done, but it's not working, the animation. That's a shame. So look, I've had such good fun over the last 12 months. You can see there's a few little snippets of bits and pieces that I've been up to over the last 12 months. I've really just had a lot of fun, and I'm hoping to have more fun into 2022. So certainly from a community point of view, with the Welsh Azure user group, with everything we've got going on Twitter, with the cloud family, anything I do, I'm always looking to have that element of fun. So if you want to be part, if you want to collaborate, if you want to get involved with anything, I'm all ears. jump in, come and tell me, come and say hello, and I'm sure we can find some time to work on something. Equally, if you want to be a guest on In Conversation with, please do reach out to me. That will be absolutely fantastic as well. But there we go. I think we'll leave it there, and we'll zoom back up to my studio. Let's get back into the studio. So there we are. Look, hopefully you've enjoyed that. Hopefully it's given you a little bit of food for thought about what I've been up to over the last year. If you're fresh into the industry and looking to start your cloud learnings, reach out. There's some fantastic people in the community always willing to help, and some fantastic content out there that you can absolutely hook into to start your journey. Or if you are more advanced, or you're more, you're more seasoned, I think is probably the best way to put it. You've done some project work. If there's something you want to have a chat about, I'm always open for a chat at a technical level on things as well, because look, we all learn and grow through doing project work and deployments and configurations, and there's only so many hours in the day that you can do some of this work, and we've all got different experiences and different projects that we've worked on. So comparing notes and chatting about things is always good fun and interesting to understand, from a personal growth perspective. Okay, that'll do for now, I think. That's my year in review. So, I mean, all in all, I think it's probably fair to say I've not had a bad year professionally, and from a career perspective and a community perspective. Personally, I've not had a great year with the loss of my mum, which is obviously going to be with me throughout 2022 and in everything that I do. And I'm obviously never going to forget my mum, and she's in my thoughts pretty much everything that I do at the moment. So on that note, look, I don't want to leave this on a somber note, but life is for living, and that's what I'm hopefully going to do into 2022. Thank you to everybody. Huge thanks to everybody that's had a chat with me. If you're in the community, you're on Twitter, if you've appeared on In Conversation with, or one of my Jonnychipz Weekly episodes, or we've been on Talk together. Look, you're all brilliant. You're all doing fantastic work. Please do keep it up for 2022. Like I say, if there's any time you want to have a chat or jump on or collaborate, reach out. All ears, completely up for that every time. But most importantly, Happy New Year, everybody. Thanks for everybody's support over the last 12 months. And here is to 2022. So for now, I've been John Lunn, aka Jonnychipz. This is me signing off for 2021. Happy New Year, all.